The three Aussies will be relieved to be on solid ground tonight after a mid-air drama which threatened to turn deadly when the plane they were on lost its landing gear. Here's how it all played out.
8:30 a.m. A pilot and two passengers take off from Newcastle Airport on a charter flight bound for Port Macquarie. But the plane never begins its journey. On takeoff, it immediately starts circling. At 9:30, the 53-year-old pilot calls emergency services. His landing gear has failed.
Once you've worked out that the problem can't be solved, then you go into the procedures for how do I land without my landing gear down. And Newcastle Airport has a long, wide runway and aerodrome rescue firefighting services.
The plane enters a holding pattern that lasts 4 agonising hours.
Flying around means that you can burn fuel off, and when you do land, if there is a problem that causes a fire, there's less fuel available to burn the aircraft.
On the ground, emergency crews mobilise, fire engines, ambulances, police and the RAAF, with operations running out of a nearby defence base, all preparing for potential disaster.
I was actually at a base aviation safety meeting this morning when this happened, would you believe? So we all left the meeting and went straight into operational mode.
In the air, the pilot desperately tries to work out how best to perform an emergency landing.
The pilot would be thinking through how to position the aircraft, have the right speed, making sure that you're in the right frame of mind to end up landing in a way that you could walk away from.
At 12:20, as ground crews hold their breath, the pilot makes his move. Lining it up down the centre of the tarmac, he sticks the landing, an emergency touchdown masterclass.
It was all about minimising risk. So I had a figure in the back of my mind of how much fuel I wanted on board for the least risk, and I just circled, so I got that figure.
He did a wonderful job.
Awesome.
He was awesome. He
stayed calm.
100% calm all the time.
I think that they've done a great job to land that aircraft in the circumstances. Ultimately, they've walked away safely.
I guess everyone's nightmare. I mean, one of the advantages there was they were at Williamtown Air Base, which they share with the RAF, so at least they had a lot of space. But when you look at the landing, you wonder how the props, because it's a prop aircraft, don't hit the tarmac. So you've got to put I presume, here's me sound like I know what I'm talking about, put the tail down first.
Yeah, and you've got to nail it right, because if you are slightly off centre, I can't imagine how that ends well.
It's quite extraordinary watching it all unfold on television. We've all got our hearts in our throat, white-knuckle ride, but he was as cool as a cucumber, this pilot, Pete Schott. He said he was confident it was always going to end well. He's been flying since before he could drive. He's been flying since the age of 15, has thousands upon thousands of hours of flying experience.
That's who you want in the cockpit.
That's it, that's it. He said he basically approached it like a footy game. He had lots of time to basically work out what needed to be done and execute it. He did 50 laps of the airport to burn all that fuel off.
But I've played footy, and the worst thing that happens is you lose.
That's it, that's it, not lose your life.
Yes.
But he's been totally cool about it, said, look, it was pretty textbook. I always knew I was going to bring it down safely, so...
What were the conditions like? What were the weather conditions like?
It wasn't just the kind of the landing gear problem he was facing, also the weather that was coming through. There were bird hazards, pelicans flying at the plane.
I just think about the two in the plane because they were going from Newcastle to Port Macquarie. It's a 2-hour drive. And I reckon one of them wanted to drive and wanted to charter the plane, and they were copping it for 4 hours.
You have picked that.